Welcome to our player ratings for the Athletic Bilbao versus Real Madrid match in the 2024 La Liga season. Athletic Bilbao emerged victorious with a 2-1 win, and here's how each player performed. This was always going to be a difficult fixture. Athletic Bilbao, away at the new San Mamés, is never an easy 3 points. In the past few seasons, we've seen Real Madrid struggle in this exact fixture. It's an intimidating atmosphere, and Ernesto Valverde always has his team well drilled and up for these matches, especially against the big teams. But none of that excuses the performance we saw tonight from Real Madrid. The midfield was non-existent and the attack was completely blunted. Let's get into the individual player ratings to see where this game was won and lost. Despite conceding 2 goals, it's hard to place too much blame on the Belgian's shoulders. He was left out to dry on both goals. He made a vital save early on in the match, denying what would have been a certain goal. Nico Williams used his pace to get in behind Fran Garcia and flashed a dangerous ball across the 6-yard box. The on-rushing Inaki Williams was primed to tap the ball home, but Courtois showed impressive reflexes to parry the ball away. It was a top-class save from a top-class goalkeeper, and it's a shame that his performance was overshadowed by the team's overall poor display. Lucas Vázquez, a player many Madridistas have come to rely on for his consistency, unfortunately, did not have a good game. He was often isolated on that right flank, with Fede Valverde often drifting centrally. This meant that Lucas was left with the responsibility of taking on multiple defenders on his own, a task that proved too difficult for the Spaniard. While he worked hard defensively, his impact going forward was minimal. He struggled to create any meaningful chances, and his passing was slightly off. It was a game of 2 halves for the young defender. He started the game a bit shaky, giving the ball away cheaply in a dangerous area early on. Thankfully for Asensio, Athletic were unable to capitalize on the mistake. He then grew into the game, showing glimpses of the composure and defensive awareness that earned him a place in the starting lineup. His recovery speed was on full display as he tracked back to make several important tackles. However, he could have done better on Athletic Bilbao's first goal. While it wasn't entirely his fault, he allowed the ball to bounce in the box instead of clearing it decisively, which ultimately led to the goal. Chapter 4. Antonio Rudiger, 8. In a chaotic and disjointed defensive performance, Antonio Rudiger stood out as a shining light. The German international was a rock at the back for Real Madrid, putting in a commanding performance. He dealt with the physicality of Inaki Williams admirably, coming out on top in most of their duels. His reading of the game was exceptional, making several crucial interceptions and clearances. It was a captain's performance from Rudiger, who was let down by the lack of support from his teammates. Chapter 5. Fran Garcia, 4.5. Handed a start in a big game, Fran Garcia failed to seize his opportunity. While he was relatively solid defensively, keeping Nico Williams relatively quiet, his contribution in attack left a lot to be desired. He offered very little going forward, often misplacing passes or making the wrong decision in the final third. His lack of composure on the ball was evident, and he struggled to link up effectively with his teammates. It was a disappointing performance from the young fullback, who will need to show much more if he wants to nail down a starting spot. Chapter 6. Aurélien Tchouaméni, 3. It was a night to forget for the young Frenchman. Ancelotti's decision to start Tchouaméni backfired as the midfielder looked completely out of sorts. He struggled to cope with Athletic's high press, giving the ball away cheaply on numerous occasions. His passing was uncharacteristically sloppy, and he failed to provide the defensive solidity that was expected of him. It was a performance that raised more questions than answers about Tchouaméni's role in the team. Chapter 7. Dani Ceballos, 6.5. In a midfield that largely underperformed, Dani Ceballos was one of the few bright spots for Real Madrid. The Spaniard was his usual energetic self, constantly looking to make things happen. He was comfortable receiving the ball under pressure and tried to dictate the tempo of the game. His passing was crisp and accurate, and he was always looking to find his teammates in dangerous positions. While he couldn't single-handedly turn the tide of the game, Ceballos put in a solid shift and showed why he deserves more minutes. another disappointing night in Bilbao. Thanks for watching our player ratings for the Athletic Bilbao versus Real Madrid match. It was a difficult night for Los Blancos, who will need to quickly regroup and analyze what went wrong. The team looked disjointed and lacked creativity in the final third. The midfield, in particular, struggled to control the game and were often overrun by Athletic's energetic pressing. This defeat will certainly sting for Ancelotti and his men, but it's important to remember that it's still early in the season. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more football analysis and updates.